So you all know Midnight is bringing bigger and revamped Qual'Thalas and Silvermoon, but just a few days back from an official interview, Blizzard heavily hinted that it will be much more than this, and we could be seeing some classic zones in the surrounding area getting the same treatment. All the North and Eastern Kingdom zones are highly relevant to the World Soul Saga. Stromgarde has been fully rebuilt, is just waiting to be added to the game as an actual city. Same can be said for a brand new Undercity that should be a legit city, not a sewer, as well as Gilneas. Plaguelands are mostly restored in the lore, and the place where Dalaran was could once again be highly relevant. So really, it doesn't seem like Midnight will just be an Elf Silvermoon expansion, but so much more than this. So what is everything we know, and what is the evidence? Playing WoW on your phone is actually possible with AweSun, this video's sponsor. You can check in on your characters, do the simple tasks that you just don't want to sit at a computer for, and it allows you to control your phone completely free. AweSun is incredibly easy to use. Check out my link in the description, download the PC app and the phone app, and just connect them. The free version itself is amazing, you can control your desktop, transfer files, but the real deal is the game version. It has custom keyboards for various games other than just WoW, and you can enjoy AFK gaming at any time, anywhere with game sound. Make sure to use my code Dalaran to get 7 days completely free, only for the first 200 people. Start remote gaming as they got hot sales with up to 40% off on pro and game versions. Check out AweSun. So if you guys have been following my channel for some time, you might have seen that I've been talking about this pretty much since the day Midnight was announced, and I mentioned it over a dozen times. There have been multiple hints, not just from interviews, but also over the past few years from the various sources, that the revamp of Midnight is not going to just be about Qual'Thalas. Now this part is 100% confirmed, and that is that Qual'Thalas itself is getting enlarged. We're not talking about updated Silvermoon assets, some forest updates, we're talking about fully updated and completely rebuilt Qual'Thalas. I'm not even sure a revamp is even the right word, as we're talking about an entire new area from scratch. We're talking about those destroyed parts of Silvermoon being fixed, which I really think is where they will add new neighborhoods for player housing, some changes to the Death Scars, some parts of Silvermoon enlarged, but also big updates to the Amani parts of Qual'Thalas and all the various zones. Also, most of the Scourge destroyed areas that were around from TBC have been fully fixed now. The last Scourge invasion happened at the end of Shadowlands, and then it was fixed after that. Now, of course, none of this is really news if you've been following the storyline, but I've been talking about how this revamp is not just going to be Qual'Thalas, and how very likely we're going to get this entire part of the Upper Eastern Kingdoms updated pretty much from this exact line. Maybe not every zone will be in great detail or as important as Silvermoon, but it will all be related and updated at least to some extent. There is so much evidence, but the most recent one is literally from just 3 days ago from an official Blizzard interview from an event they did, where they told us that we will see some areas updated that we haven't seen in 20 years. Keep in mind, Midnight is getting announced in just a few months from now, this summer, which is pretty much 20 years since the game was released. The Qual'Thalas content that was confirmed to be revamped only came out in 2007, which is 18 years from now. While you could of course pass this off as just wording or them rounding up the number, I really don't think this is the case, and I've been talking about these revamps for a whole bunch of reasons because they have been hinting at this hard for quite a while now. First of all, look at the regular expansions. In most cases, Blizzard released 4 to 6 zones per expansion, and these are almost always new zones or a whole new planet. This expansion is a revamp type expansion. They already got all the concepts and what it should look like. They just got updated, which means there must be more going on for Midnight behind the scenes. They don't have to come up with new model ideas, new art styles, new races, new storylines and such. The Qual'Thalas bit is going to be super easy to implement, especially seeing the fact that they already built a lot of the Blood Elven assets. Last time we got a revamped expansion, they updated like 80% of Azeroth back in Cataclysm with so many completely revamped zones. So just from a practical standpoint and budget side of things, there really is a big chance we're getting this entire part updated. Keep in mind, Qual'Thalas is literally only 2 zones, Eversong Woods and Ghostlands, with that little island of the coast called Quel'Thalas, but it is really 2 major zones and 1 smaller one. Now, Blizzards could split it up with Yamani to make it 4, but really this isn't enough for whole expansion content. It is highly unlikely that Qual'Thalas is all that we will get in Midnight. When you look at the zones below, despite being larger in numbers, they really are just lands of former Lordran plus the destroyed areas of the Plaguelands, Gilneas, and the Arathi zones. When you put it in simple terms, really, we got 3 key areas. What I find so interesting is that literally every zone that I just mentioned in this area has received recent updates, and all of them are highly relevant to the current storyline of the World Soul Saga, especially Midnight, and at least 3 have been essentially in the queue for a revamp for the past 5 to 10 years. We just needed the right opportunity for Blizzard to implement this change, which could literally be happening right now. Let's start with the oldest in question, the Arathi Highlands in Stromgarde. First, this zone literally got completely updated in BFA with brand new assets, but it was never implemented in the actual zone. Then the lore wrapped it up. We were told that Stromgarde is now a fully fledged alliance city. It just needs to literally be implemented in the game, but it is fully active, and plus, in the new instance version, it was fully rebuilt, so they got all the new assets already. Then, literally a month or 2 back from this video, we got a brand new story talking about the Arathi Highlands and the tensions going on there, despite the fact that this literally has nothing to do with the war within. Then on top of that, you all know the Light Emperor, the new Arathi Empire we just learned about, that considers themselves the true Arathi Empire that never shattered. Them being a light army and the actual army of the light coming in Midnight being confirmed is definitely yet another point on why this is getting updated. However, there is so much more going on there. So, the oldest zone that only received an update in Cataclysm, but yeah, it's been 15 years since then, and it is just waiting to get updated again, are the Plaguelands. Initially, Plaguelands were the most destroyed areas of Lordran by the Scourge, and then there was a significant Paladin effort to fix this, and in Cataclysm we got like half the zones being terrible, the other being mostly fixed with a lot of rebuilding efforts. However, lore-wise, so much happened since then, and as far as we know, lore-wise, most of these areas are actually fixed and livable. There is still some Scourge presence, but it is very limited, so I'm talking about the Lightscope Chapel being updated and bigger, something going on with the ruins of Stratholm, very likely not becoming a new city, but maybe finally being cleansed. We're also talking about all the outskirts and the Heartland. Why this is relevant is due to the recent Scarlet Crusade attack, and they control these lands for a while, and the potential return of the new undiscovered Arathi Emperor that could potentially be allied to them. Also, these are Paladin and Light lands. The Light Army is literally coming to Qual'Thalas to battle the Void Invasion in Midnight. Blizzard told us this. These could be their staging grounds to regroup their forces. But this is really just the start of things. You all know the questline that happened a year or 2 back with Undercity and what they have been setting up. Undercity was attacked by the Scarlets, the city was reclaimed or restored. This is a really strange kind of a limbo that is currently going on. I mean, initially the Forsaken were these refugees living in the sewers of the capital of former Lordran. Then after that, Sylvanas plagued it, and in BFA the city literally got updated assets, but it was plagued immediately. Then in the Shadowlands we got a questline where the city was cleansed and it was once again inhabitable. Since then, the Forsaken have been living in like a glorified makeshift camp, and with the big storyline where they proclaim themselves to be the descendants of actual Lordran, there is a very high likelihood that we are getting a brand new Undercity, and the big point here is that it shouldn't really be an Undercity, but just a regular city. The entire lore was that the Forsaken are the true descendants of Lordran and not the Forsaken, really, that they previously were, just refugees without a purpose or a place in the world. They even got some new emblems, so really, the Forsaken might finally get rid of that emo Sylvanas, what point is there in this curse ordeal, and actually become Lordran, and this could be a big part of the update. Another big deal that happened in Dragonflight is the entire reconquest of Gilneas, which we've been talking about for a good decade, and the questline itself was pretty underwhelming. Random Scarlet Invasion, the Forsaken retreated, and the Gilneans are back in their home and apparently building, but nothing was really added or changed or updated visually. This is why I think that Dragonflight Gilneas questline was really just a setup for the big storyline that will be happening in Midnight, where this place will become highly relevant. Undercity, Gilneas, and Silvermoon could also be super relevant with the upcoming player housing in Silvermoon. As you may know, player housing is coming prior to the actual Midnight release, and for the start, it will just be settled around Orgrimmar and Stormwind with these neighborhoods, but they heavily hinted that it will get expanded, and all these cities should be, you know, the next cities for this expansion in the next expansion. Lastly, there is another very relevant location that literally no one is talking about in the community, and that is the place where Dalaran was for thousands of years. You may remember, Dalaran was an actual human kingdom for thousands of years. This is that giant crater that is just completely stuck in time. I mean, recently, Dalaran has been super relevant since it was destroyed, and then there were some Kirin Tor quest lines and some talks that they don't plan to rebuild it, but that might just be in the recent flying form. It is possible that they could actually work on a regular city and they could bring it back to its former glory as the Kingdom of Dalaran. Additionally, you must have also heard about the confirmed foundation of an official Draenei capital on Azeroth, the first ever, and no location was mentioned yet, and it could literally happen in a place like this. I mean, I could potentially see it happening where the original Dalaran was, as right now it is a highly magically potent abandoned plot of land that should be a lot safer than it was back in Classic. So overall, based on the recent interview, we really could be seeing some really exciting new features at Midnight, and it really does appear that it will be much more than just Qual'Thalas, Silvermoon, and a Blood Elf expansion that is the starting team. We could be talking about the Amani Trolls, former Lordaeron, Undercity, Gilneas, the Light Army, remnants of the Scourge, and really all this is all the WoW that Chris Metzen talked about that we are returning to in this second part of the World Soul Saga. Thanks for watching. Check out my video on why Midnight will be the craziest expansion yet by clicking on the screen, and subscribe to my Raid channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.